Hello guys and welcome to my guide for the Mercenary Bodyguard and Commando Combat Medic. First of all, I have to say that the Mercenary heal is a difficult class. It's easy to get 6k heal per second in regular war zones, but it's pretty hard to maximize your playstyle for getting the numbers you want. In this guide, we are going to have a look at the basics of gear building, utilities and abilities. Let's start with the utilities. Utilities. The utility system is divided into three different categories: skillful, masterful, and heroic. You have to put at least 3 points at the skillful, and then you can put 2 in masterful and 2 heroic. I'm gonna point out and explain these in the following. Jet Escape or Tenacious Defense. This can be pretty useful for beginners. It's reducing the cooldown of your jet boost and stun break ability. I recommend it for long fights like team rated or normal war zones because in solo rated there are more useful utilities which should be chosen. Afterburners or Conservative Force. This can be used if you fight against 1 or 2 enemy damage dealer. The longer range of your jet boost is useful but definitely not necessary, because when you fight against melee damage dealer they will just stomp at you, which interrupts and slows you. The immobilizing effect is not clever against more than one attacking enemy. Costume and Warrior Suit or Heavy Trooper. Because of its overall increase to incoming heals and endurance, it's a very useful utility in PvP as well as in PvE. I usually use it for any kind of PvP operations. Gyroscopic alignment jets or parallactic combat stems. This is very important for heat management. If you're attacked, interrupted and stunned all over the time, you won't be able to use a lot of counter shots. In my opinion, this is a must-have utility. Improved Rends or Cell Capacitor. Because of the higher cooldown on the ability, this is a discussed utility. But if you choose this, you can get up to 100 heat every 2 minutes and clear this in 1 second. Because of its increase to your auto crit, this is personally one of my favorites, but you have to check it out by your own. Power and Charge Barrier. Weapon Scan and Medical Probe increase your damage reduction by additional 5%. It isn't possible to keep this all over the time at the 5 stacks, but it can help you a lot against incoming burst damage. Actually, this utility depends on your playstyle, so you have to check it out by your own as well. Broadside and Chain Gunnery. This is almost worthless because it's a DPS utility. Adhesive supplements or sticky mods. This is also a DPS utility and won't help you keeping your teammates alive. We continue with the masterful utilities, Torque Boosters or Advanced Line. This can be chosen if you want to have more movement, but because the ability has a 40-second cooldown and you can't move 10 seconds without causing abilities, it's not very useful, and on masterful there are lots of utilities you can select. Pyro and Electro Shield. This is the DPS utility and worthless. Infrared sensors and night vision scope. If you want, you might choose this utility for the passive defense buff, but at all I don't recommend it. SWTOR. It's worth it choosing this to keep yourself alive because you generally use curve while having to kite. But don't forget that this won't act on friendly targets. Protective Field and Med Zone. This is pretty useful to maximize your incoming burst heals. Although it's very practical, I only recommend this in combination with one of the later discussed heroic utilities. Power and Combat Shield. This is one of the most important utilities. It reduces your taken damage and gives you immunity against interrupts plus additional 30% less ability activation per spec. I personally use this for everything. It's my absolutely favorite and I definitely recommend this for regular solo and team rated war zones. Heat damping and efficient conversions. It's close to worthless because it's only reducing the healing ability Cur, and because you shouldn't use Cur very often, I really think you can select 2 more useful utilities in Masterful. Supercharged Defense. This profoundly contains a lot of needed passive abilities. There's the immunity up to interrupts like Power respectively Combat Shield gives. Additionally, you've got an increased defense chance by 15%, and because this is connected with the ability Supercharged Gas, which you have to keep upgraded as often as possible, it's the definite most important utility beside Power respectively Combat Shield. Energy Rebounder and Reflexive Shield. It has a chance to emit a small shield which absorbs damage every 10 seconds. Also, it reduces the cooldown of your energy or reflective shield, while taking damage. It's a very nice utility, especially in combination with Protective Field and Power Shield or Med Zone and Combat Shield. But like I said, you have to try out the combination between different utility setups by your own. Power Overrides and Overclock. This is one of my most liked favorites for burst healing and kiting. With this, there are 2 instead of 1 instant activations for your next 2 normally casted abilities. In addition, it reduces the cooldown of this ability by 15 seconds. Stabilized Armor or Shock Absorbers. This is a definitely must-have utility. I don't care how you play your Mercenary or Commando heal, but you have to select this utility. If you don't, I can't help you anymore. But please let me know in your comments if you've got another opinion. Jet Rebounder or Reflexive Battery. Because of the abilities used, I don't recommend this utility and it's worthless beside all of the other heroics. Supercharged Reserves. I don't think I have to explain this, it's almost worthless. Culture Jets or Wave. This is nice if you combine it with the other utilities depending on jet boost or surface force. But for solo or team rated, I definitely wouldn't choose this. Thrill of Hunt and Force March. Choose this for kiting. Don't choose this for staying alive. You have to find a solution for your own playstyle, but in my opinion staying alive is more necessary and useful than a little advantage for kiting. The last utility is Smoke Screen. Pretty useful for kiting, and with this you cannot be interrupted or slowed after using Rocked Out or Propulsion Round. The next part is how to build your PvP healing gear. Of course you need the Mercenaries and Commandos healing PvP set. I think you can find this by your own, but if you comment I can add some information like this for beginners in my next video or guide. There are two different gear buildings possible, Alacrity or Power build. The Alacrity build consists of about 10% Alacrity for faster casts, shorter cooldowns on your CD abilities and movement. If you decide to play the Alacrity build, your aim is to get about 1000 Alacrity and 1400 critical rating. By the way, you always have to reach at least a 40% critical chance. The Power build consists 1400 up to 1600 critical rating, and all of your remaining augments have to be power augments. Now I think you want to know what to choose. Let me point up some information about each of these builds. The first item is as usual your own playstyle. If you are used to play without Alacrity, try out the Power build first, but compare it with the Alacrity build, which is my favorite if you've got enough PvP token. Before you're getting bored with my gear building explanations, let's have a look at the abilities. The first thing is of course your activated cell. You have to keep the combat support cylinder cell active all the time. If you don't, it's just a bit foolish. Cold Shot or Mad Shot is your fill and resource regulating ability. If you're overheated or you don't have cells left, use this until a power mount ability is ready. Rapid Scan or Medical Probe. It's also generating the stacks for your supercharged gas, which needs 10 stacks. Your Cold Shot or Mad Shot is Rapid Scan or Medical Probe are as important as any healing ability is as Mercenary or Commando heal. Differently to the first ability, this is a constant ability and needs 20 hit or cells. Besides of this downside, it's healing for a medium amount. Cure or Field Aid. It's instant activated and heals for a low amount. It's giving debuffs from the friendly target. If this is used with the utility Suit FOE, you will be able to kite better and stay alive longer. Culture Shell or Trauma Probe. With the description of this ability and keep it activated on as many teammates as possible. It's nice in AoE healing as well as in burst healing. Healing Scan or Advanced Medical Probe. It's your most important ability to heal against incoming burst damage. It's very difficult to get used to this ability because of its usually 2-second activation time and added with a 12-second cooldown. I will explain this ability later again in combination with other abilities. Emergency Scan or Bacta Infusion. It's generating an instant activation to your next healing scan or advanced medical probe. Also, it's a healing over time ability for incoming burst damage as well as for normal burst healing. Progressive Scan or Successive Treatment. It's a definitely most useful ability because it's great to heal in AoE and in burst situations. The disadvantage is the 2.4-second cast time. You have to get used to this. Use this ability on cooldown. Counter Missile and Bomb. Use it to heal more than 2 friendly targets at one spot. For burst healing it's almost worthless. Your Stun Break ability. I think you know how to use this, especially for the Mercenary Commando heal. Use it when you're stunned void. Of course, in any cases it can be worth it using this, but you know, it's situational. Energy and Reflective Shield. It's one of your defense abilities. The shield lasts for 12 seconds and reduces the incoming damage by 25%. If you've chosen one of the utilities to increase the shield's advantages, try it out by your own, but in my opinion use it against incoming auto crits or if you're gonna be interrupted a lot. The Warzone Adrenal is useful and supports you to survive longer. Be careful in using it. You can only use it once each death, and I recommend to use it when nothing else of your defensives is ready. The Warzone Map Pack can also be used only once each death. Read its description and use it when you're low without of any ready burst healing abilities. Culture Overload or Adrenaline Rush. It heals you for 8 seconds if your health falls below 40%. Maybe you already know that you can be killed or globaled through this ability, although it can be pretty helpful. Here's my tip. Use it when your team is attacked by damage over time damage dealer. Then you can heal your teammates for 8 seconds without keeping attention on yourself. It's situational how to use this defensive ability, but you will learn that by doing. Jet Boost or Confusion Charge. As I told you in the utility part of my guide, you can skill this ability so that it's very usable, but it's still a defensive ability to push back your enemies and for nothing else. Rocket Out or Propulsion Round. It is all round helpful for kiting or immunity up to stuns and interrupts with the heroic utility. For this ability, here's my tip. Try to use this so that you fly behind a fence or something which prevents your enemies from attacking you. Hydraulic Override and Hold the Line, activated for kiting and immunity up to slowing or immobilizing effects. I think it's simple to get used to this. When heat or recharged cells. With the utility for allocating and more generated resources, use it when you are in a burst situation without of anything else. Without the utility, use it when you don't have resources left. Thermal sensor override or reserve power cell. Only combine this with progressive scan because it's the most resource consuming ability, but of course only if you need to and you're around the 40 heat line. Supercharged gas. It's the most important ability for the Mercenary bodyguard. Well, I'm sorry if I've already said that for another one, but this definitely is. It has a duration of 12 seconds with the Mercenary and Commando's healing PvP set. While being active, your healing scan or advanced medical probe don't have a cooldown and need 5 less resources, so it's helpful for your heat management as well as for general burst healing. With the utility for immunity up to interrupts for the first 8 seconds on this ability, it's clever to use most of your casted abilities, for example progressive scan and successive treatment, rapid scan and medical probe, or healing scan and advanced medical probe, while having the first 8 seconds active of the supercharged gas. In the last 4 seconds, you don't have a cooldown on healing scan and advanced medical probe, but you can be interrupted. What I mean is that you have to use emergency scan and Bacta infusion with its instant activation on your next healing scan or advanced medical probe in this last 4 seconds. Power Surge or Tech Override. Usually you can use this ability every 60 seconds and it generates one instant activation for your next normal casted ability. But if you combine it with a heroic utility, you've got 2 instant activations for your next normal 2 casted abilities every 45 seconds. Here's one of my most important and helpful tips. I want to tell you how to combine the power surge with a supercharged gas. As I said before, in the last 4 seconds of a supercharged gas duration, you don't have a cooldown on your healing scan, but you can be interrupted. Well, instead of using Bacta infusion or emergency scan followed by healing scan or advanced medical probe, use your power surge in this last 4 seconds and add it with 1 or 2 instant activated healing scans or advanced medical probes. Of course, this depends on your chosen utilities. Another very important item is that a power surge and tech override doesn't regard your buff from the Bacta infusion and emergency scan. This means that if you have an instant activation for the next healing scan and advanced medical probe and you activate your power surge or tech override, you will lose both of these effects.